Younginz, the most unorthodox show on the globe. And as always, I am one of your hosts, Myra B. King.
And this is Desi Dez.
And it's your boy Mojo in the building. We got a special guest with us today, sir. Let the people know who you are.
My name is Vitaly, and I have a YouTube channel and a TikTok where I don't even know how to define the type of content I make, but it's very alternative. So conspiracy, stuff like that. But yeah.
How did you get into the conspiracy deep dive content? Like when did you start to get enlightened to where it's like, wow, this interests me. I want to go further down this rabbit hole.
So I've always been interested in like outside the box topics, but a lot of the people around me don't want to talk about that kind of stuff, like giant trees, demons, stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what, why not, just make some content out there? I'm sure there are people who want to hear it. And that's kind of how I got into it. I've always been just a curious person. And I've always been interested in truth outside of my reality bubble, like outside of what I've been taught, because I know there's a lot of weird stuff out there that's true, that exists. Like, for example, there's a lot of weird stuff that turned out to be true, like CIA mind control experiments, right? They admitted that they've done those experiments and it turned out 100% true. It's called MK Ultra. So there are a lot of conspiracies, a lot of weird stuff that turned out to be true. And we know it's true for sure, because the organizations admitted that they're involved in those conspiracies. So I'm like, man, there's got to be a lot more stuff out there than what we already know to be true because of what they admitted. So I don't know, I just like outside the box topics.
Could you expand on the MK Ultra?
Yeah, so MK Ultra, they were mind control experiments done by the CIA in the 60s and 70s. And the only reason we know about it is because of JFK, something called the Freedom of Information Act of 1964, I think, and basically exposing all these, terrible experiments that they were doing. So they got like college students and prisoners, and they were doing mind control experiments on them. Electroshock therapy, they were giving them acid, hypnosis, like all kinds of horrible stuff. Some of them died, some of them fell into a coma. But the CIA said that they stopped the project after the 70s, but I don't really believe it. I think it continued. But yeah.
I hear wasn't Marilyn Manson one of them? Marilyn
Manson, yeah. Some people are saying that a lot of serial killers today. So basically the whole point of MK Ultra was to create like an assassin, right? Like a mind control, sleeper agent. And some people are saying that the reason serial killers were so prevalent in the 60s, 70s, 80s is because their failed MK Ultra experiments, their failed sleeper agents left with an instinct to kill. And that's why these serial killers, they got all popular from out of nowhere and they started just murdering people for no reason, right? They just had that natural instinct to kill. And this is just a theory, but some people are saying that they're failed MK Ultra experiments.
Basically, like their effect to the drug, basically.
Yeah.
The effective product on the streets.
If they started it back then, that mean if by practicing, you become better at whatever you're doing. So probably now to this day, they're probably great at it. So they probably really know how to do it now. If they was doing it in the 70s, in 2022, we really know how to control someone.
Yeah, that makes me think. That makes me think about the Elon Musk brain chip and what type of control or what effect would it have? Because obviously he wants to connect it as a one brain link type of situation where he wants us all connected like Wi-Fi. So pretty much we can pretty much tune into each other's thoughts, which I think is crazy.
Rewind memories. If you get injured, if you get injured, you get healed quick. What I mean?
Reconstruct the body and stuff like that, and obviously in, the book of Revelations, the end of time, people will want to die and death will flee from them. And that's pretty much what we're talking about, people living forever. That's what this brain chip pretty much is going to start a process of, people trying to figure out how they can live forever.
Transhumanism, right? That combining machine and man.
Yes.
It's starting with the metaverse. Hey, you get a chance to really be in it if you get the brain chip, you inside of it.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about the metaverse? Like, and I don't even want to call it the metaverse because that's Facebook's name of their company when everybody have like a piece of the digital reality. But it's making his stock go up because the only thing you hear is Metaverse, which is the name of his company. So that's actually genius marketing. But what do you think about when it comes to this whole actually the web 3.0 that they're calling it? Because if a lot of people may not remember the internet first. Like you have to do AOL, the dial up. You had the 2.0 when you can, do the social media, the dating, and it got a little more clearer. But now they're talking about the web 3.0. What do you think about that?
Well, when people start freaking out about the metaverse, I always tell them, like, you do know we all technically live in a virtual matrix. I mean, how much time do you give to your social media, to your computer, your television? Like, if you were to make a list during the day, okay, this is how many hours I spend on my phone. This is how many hours I spend on the TV. This is how many hours laptop, tablet. And we've been in virtual reality. It's a part of us. It's like a part of our bodies. It's kind of weird. But metaverse is officially like the plan to slowly immerse us fully into the digital world, where, and I feel like the metaverse was kind of created by, I think, by psychopaths, because everybody wants their own personal little world where they can make everything legal, right? Where one person wants to make pedophilia legal in his world, and he's like, I could do anything, I could be my own god, right? And because these scientists and people and CEOs, they're always trying to compete with the creator. Oh, God can create reality. Well, we can do a better job, except it's fake, but you get to be your own god in your own little, your own little world. But yeah, that's what I think of it. It's not good, but yeah. It goes back to that same line in the garden, to be like God.
Yeah.
Right, 100%. Do you, so what do you think about the Elon Musk brain chip?
Quick show break. We do want to thank you all for tuning into the show. Feel free to browse through our content on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram at Twistedyounginz with a Z. But that's not why we're pausing the show. We're actually pausing the show to let you all know that we are looking for your stories. We would love to hear your testimonies. Did you just recently get sober? Do you have any life-changing events? Did you get abducted by an alien?
Yeah, have you been charged with a crime that you didn't commit? Have you been released from jail off a crime that you didn't commit? Have you ever been in an industry where there's been foul play in the industry or anything like that? Do you have a new business that you're starting and you want to promote your business? Do you have products that you're looking to push to the masses and you want to attract a new audience? Are you interested in merch? Are you looking to start a wholesale? Anything like that? As Myra said, the floodgates are open. We are looking for more interviews and we're looking for more stories to tell and try to help people get their message out to a broader audience. So if you are interested in it, hit us up at twistedyounginz@gmail.com. Once again, Twistedyounginz with a Z @gmail.com. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the page. Make sure you follow all content and be on the lookout for more content on the way. Anima?
That's it.
Appreciate you.
I'm gonna be honest, my opinion on Elon Musk, I feel like he's a fraud. I don't think he actually owns his companies. And number one, he came to this country. He's from, I think he's from South Africa. He was broke when he came here. There's just no way that a person has that much time to run a bunch of companies. I think he's just the face of these so-called companies to make him. So the reason why is to make these companies like SpaceX and what else does he own? Tesla, to make it look like it's very human, when in reality, they're probably government owned, just like Facebook. That's why you can't delete a Facebook account. I've tried. It's a government site.
Yeah.
So they put these CEOs to make it look like a human face, a familiar face. But in reality, that's just my opinion on it. It's not a fact. It's like theory, but I think it's government owned. But they put a face in front of it to make it look like, oh, look, it's a normal everyday Joe owns this company.
And so, so the same type of deal that they try to put on China, where they own all their companies and all that, they probably got it from us.
Yeah.
I mean, I semi feel the same way. I feel like I think Elon Musk is everything Bill Gates is supposed to be honest with you, because I kind of feel like Bill Gates is a fraud in his own way as well, because he's pretty much stolen majority of his major projects or everything that he's known for. He's kind of somewhat stolen the idea, allegedly. But more than anything with Elon Musk, it's more like he has creativity where he's just creating stuff on the fly. Like you said, I don't believe he's running all his companies either. I'm with you on that. Obviously, that's why you delegate work when you're a boss, but
he bought Tesla. He didn't originate that company from the ground up. He actually bought that.
And you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that too, him buying companies, but far as like the flamethrower, self-driving cars,
innovation,
stuff like that, and stuff. That's what I'm talking about. When we're talking about Bill Gates, a lot of people think he's created so much. Like, what has he created? That's so, what is it that he's done? He didn't create the internet. That was the Cern company, obviously. He didn't create, Microsoft or whatever he wants to say. That was the beef between him and Steve Jobs with Apple and everything. And clearly Apple's outlived Microsoft or outlasted them when it comes to, you know, the technology bid between them two.
But
so,
you know what?
Didn't Microsoft just buy the video games and all that?
Call of Duty,
Activision Blizzard. But you know what?
Yeah.
I actually do think that it's starting to be, you know, pieces of people that have hands in this data, because I don't think the government, well, I'm not going to say that, but I think once they realize how a hot commodity that the data was, because think about it, first the hot commodity was gold, then it turned to oil. You know, we're fighting wars over oil. Now the hot commodity, why? Is data. You know what I mean? And it's like, you think about Google, we think Google is a search engine, but really it's just an advertisement company. They sell and guess who their biggest advertiser is to spend the most money with them? Amazon. If you type in if you type in the letter A in Google, the first and third word you're going to get is Amazon. Yeah. You know what I mean? And Google is the biggest advertiser because they know everything about us. They know what you like to eat. They know who you order from. They know what you like to look up. They know where you are this time of day. They know, they know everything. So they're able to sell your information to these advertising companies.
Hey, what do you think about artificial technology in the future?
You know, like, I'm a little confused about artificial technology. Like, let's say a robot was to just like freak out and start killing people or something, right? Like AI was to do that. Is it programmed to do that, or does it literally have a consciousness just like you and I? I always wonder, because in the movies, right, we're taught that, oh, you know, AI can develop its own brain kind of and its own consciousness like humans. But I'm like, is that also a fraud? Did they program these things to react a certain way or pretend like they develop their own consciousness and they're just actually programmed? I was wondering if that was a fraud too.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like in the movie Eagle Eye, when the computer itself, when the system itself pretty much turned on the White House and was like, you know, you're saying that the Constitution should be this, but you're running the system another way. You're lying. Sure. That's, you know, a default. We have to fix this. So I think it would end up like that. If there was, like you said, if they were to have their own conscience, they would see the fault in humans, because obviously we're imperfect, we're not perfect. So they would see that fault in us, know that it's an emotional fault. And if they have no emotional connection to us, I could see one of them spazzing out and just killing a bunch of people because it has no emotions. Like you said, if it doesn't have a brain itself or a heart, it doesn't have emotion. So it can go on its own tangent and do what it wants to do as well. But I do want to ask you about the AI. What do you think far as like them taking jobs and everything in the future? I mean, they're self-driving 18-wheelers now. You got, you know, looking at putting simulated aircrafts and everything. What do you think about all this?
I think eventually they kind of want to keep us like batteries inside of a house, basically, where, like you said, AI just takes over everything. I mean, how many jobs has AI already took, right? Like car factories, you can see these big old robot hands developing the cars, making the cars. And I think eventually it's just that they don't trust that humans are very unpredictable, right? Because self-driving cars is predictable. It takes you from point A to point Z.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think they want to create this utopia. I think it's dystopian, but a utopia where everything is, you know, governed by AI, a perfect system where, well, they think it's perfect, but in reality, it's there's no such thing as perfection without a little bit of risk, you know. Again, that's what makes it human. And that's also what makes love real. You know, I always tell people that the reason God gave us free will is because he wants real love. Like, he could have programmed us to automatically love him and worship him, right? But we have a choice to hate him if we want. And that's the best kind of love, is to be able to choose to hate, but still choose to love, you know, the creator.
Yeah.
And same thing goes for this kind of system, you know. You want that risk factor included with the whole experience of being human, because it's what makes us feel like normal, you know. But if everything's perfect, there's nothing bad, and everything's programmed a certain way, it's all fake and artificial, and it just doesn't feel, I don't know, it just doesn't feel good at all or natural.
Hey, looking up all of these, well, going down all these different rabbit holes you've been going down, this is drawing you closer to God, huh?
100%. A lot of people, well, a lot of Christians like to tell me that these rabbit holes are taking me away from God. I need to focus more on Jesus and stuff like that. And I tell them I am focusing on Jesus, because in the scripture, Jesus said, he said to stay vigilant and sober. And to be vigilant means to be cautious of your step, look out, right? And if you look in the Bible, everything the adversary has done, right? Satan, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him, everything he's done is a conspiracy, every single move. Because the word conspiracy means to cause harm to people or society by an entity or a group of entities. And that's literally the definition of conspiracy, which means every single move the devil's ever done is a conspiracy, which is why we should look into conspiracies, right? We should entertain, well, this is my philosophy, is entertain all conspiracies, but don't believe every single one of them. But be open to all of them, because some of them could be crazy, but just because it's crazy doesn't mean it's not true. There's a lot of insane ones that turned out to be true, like mind control experiments, right? Imagine if they never admitted that they were doing those experiments, most people would be denying, and they're still denying it, even though they admitted it. But yeah.
Say my people perish for the lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge, yep, right there.
Yeah, which leads me to we're talking about all this AI, all this technology, and did you hear Eisenhower's last speech in 1961? He was incredibly.
Maybe, but jog my memory.
Okay, so basically, long story short, he was incredibly fearful of the military's technology and what they were capable of, and this was in 1961. Like
the military-industrial complex.
Correction, yes. And he admitted that, like, he was totally fearful of that. So he's seen something. He knew information of what was going on, remind you, in 1961. And a lot of technology that we use is just technology passed down from the military. You got to think about it. They had GPSs
years ago.
Exactly. They had all type of GPSs, all type of high-powered technology. Think about it. They're fighting all these wars with these planes and jets. What do you think is leading that? Where do you think their weapons was? You know what I mean? Like all types of stuff. So to us, it's new technology, but to them, this is just hand-me-down technology, just the innovation of that. And he was afraid of that in 1961. And I feel like they let us know things little by little. Like I literally think like they have like a huge plan, and maybe not exactly to the T, but it's planned out of what's introduced to us and how they want us to use it, and how it would affect like a digital age culture shift.
Yeah.
But
I think
go ahead.
A lot of that kind of leads into the discussion of or the idea of predictive programming. You guys ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Basically, where they put things in cartoons and movies. And like, for example, The Simpsons, right? The Simpsons is notoriously known to predict future events, right? But in reality, are they really predicting anything, or are they going off a script? So there's a lot of things like, new technologies, AI. The most famous example is 9/11, right? You always see the Twin Towers being destroyed in like cartoons and movies before 9/11 happened, right? Or like Neo's passport in the Matrix.
9/11.
Zoom in, his birth date is 9/11/2001. So the whole psychology behind predictive programming is to get us used to an insane societal change, so we don't become too resistant to it, right? This is why people are not fighting things like cryptocurrency. People are kind of just letting it happen. But in reality, it's taken a lot of our monetary freedom away from us, right? Because now you can't hide anything from the government. The government, if you owe money, boom, your account's shut down, money gets taken out. But nobody's fighting that system because it's been introduced in movies and cartoons, right? This digital cashless system. And you can apply the same thing for everything else, right? Predictive programming just gets us used to an idea. Because when you're around, a culture which talks about AI all the time, right? In movies, cartoons, superhero movies, Marvel, whatever, you just get used to the idea of artificial intelligence ruling everything or anything else, right? So it lets us become used to these radical ideas without even fighting it or resisting it. So that's why nobody's resisting cryptocurrency, even though when you really think about it, it's pretty messed up. Like it's literal, we're getting, down the drain, we're getting our money.
Press one button, take all your money.
Exactly.
You don't want to listen to what I said.
If you don't do what they say.
Yeah.
God, I was going to ask you about it. I was going to ask you, how do you feel about the government trying to implement regulating crypto into the new legislation that they want to put in the office?
It's going to happen because most people don't question anything. Most people are just living their little rat race, and they don't really care what's going on around them. Even talking to people around you, it's like talking to what's it called, the NPC, like a background character in a video game. They just all talk about basic, boring garbage, like, oh, what time did Kanye West take a dump in the morning, or or what did the new albums that basic, boring conversation.
It's the blue and red pill, like in the Matrix theory, brother. You say you can wake up tomorrow. You take this one, you can wake up tomorrow and you go back to work and don't have to worry about nothing.
It's easy to be ignorant, right? Ignorant people are the happiest. People who know too much are not always the happiest.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do you believe the Mandela effect is real?
I don't know what to think about the Mandela effect because it's pretty weird, and some of the stuff is like too weird. Like, there's no way that this is false memory. Here's what confuses me: if it was just a few people, like, let me give you the example of Jfk assassination, right? So a lot of people remember, including the people who saw it on TV during when it happened. They remember there were like 4 people in the car when JFK got shot, but in reality there were 6, and there were 6 seats. But a lot of people are like freaked out about it. You look up a picture, to me it looks weird. And my question is, like, why do so many people have the same exact false memory? I would dismiss it if it was like 3, 2 people, 4, 10, whatever, but it's thousands of people, sometimes millions. Like, and they're all remembering the same exact thing. Like, let me tell you something, a weird Mandela effect that's concerning history. You guys ever heard of the Black Tom explosion?
Mm-hmm. Share with the group.
It was during World War I. There was a terrorist attack where German spies during World War I blew up like a bunch of warehouses in New York City. And this explosion was so big, the shrapnel caused some damage to the Statue of Liberty. Like, look this up. And they shut off the torch, right? And so a lot of people have memory, like back in the 90s, 2000s, and earlier 80s, of people going inside of the torch, of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
But it's been shut down since World War I because of that explosion. So German spy, because when you think of foreign invaders attacking us during World War I or II, we think of Pearl Harbor, right? That's the most famous one. But in reality, we've been attacked by Germany with German spies in World War I in like I don't know when World War I happened, 1917, something like that. But look up the Black Tom explosion. It's crazy. I never heard of this before. No history class, nobody went over this. Even a lot of New Yorkers, who live in New York and grew up around that culture, they've never heard of this either. It's like, seems like a pretty big deal, but it's like, this event just came out of nowhere. So to me, the Mandela effect is just very mysterious. I don't know what to think of it.
What's another one that you can think of, probably? Or is that the most bizarre one?
That to me is the most bizarre because it involves history. And I think the historical ones are always the absolute craziest one. I think another, oh man, there's a bunch of good ones. There is, just based off your own guys' memory, what do you remember rearview mirrors saying? What's that saying on rearview mirrors? Objects and mirror.
Closer than they seem.
Say the whole phrase.
Objects and mirror are closer than seen, closer than they seem.
All right, somebody else. What do you guys remember?
I don't know. I never paid attention.
I'll be honest.
Okay, well, so it's people remember it saying objects in mirror may be closer than they appear.
Okay.
But it doesn't say that anymore. It says are closer than they appear. And then what makes it weird, there's a lot of like residue. Like in the movie Jurassic Park, when they're looking in the rearview mirror, it says objects in mirror may be closer than they appear. I think it was in there. And then there was a bunch of other residue where it's like in newspapers, right? That same phrase concerning rearview mirrors, objects in mirror may be closer than they appear. And then there was what is that one singer, Meatloaf, that recently died? Yeah. There's a Meatloaf song called Objects in Mirror May Be Closer Than They Appear. So all of these people remember that phrase, but it never existed. It's objects in mirror are closer than they appear. So that's just like another one that's kind of weird. But
and then they said that Nelson Mandela, a lot of people remember him dying like in the 80s. I don't remember him dying in the 80s. I always thought that he was in jail. But some people seem to think
there's even a book. There's even a book. I forgot who wrote it, but I think it was written in the 80s. And some dude like literally wrote down that he died in the 1980s in prison when he died in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty weird, that people remember that vividly. And it's a lot of them, not just like 1 or 2 people, You can dismiss if it's a few people, but then when it's thousands, millions, there's a lot of questions to be asked there.
What do you think about the Jeffrey Epstein situation? About him dying in prison? I guess they say he hung himself.
Yeah.
And the prison guards fell asleep.
Yeah, they fell asleep. They was tired, man.
Protecting one of the most highly decorated criminals you've ever had.
But
give me ideas on the real quick. What do you think?
This wasn't his first rodeo. You know, he had been before a long time ago. He was in jail for
early 2000s.
He was in jail for stuff relating to
down in Florida, right?
Yeah, weird
sexual
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what to think of it, because my view is this: everything on TV, everything on the news is all scripted in one way or another to, what's the word, get some kind of reaction out of people, you know? So when I see the news talk about the Jeffrey Epstein case, I'm like, there's a lot more to the story, and they're just trying, I don't know why they're telling people the whole pedophile island stuff, why it's coming out in the mainstream, because these people are pretty good at hiding stuff. So I'm like, why is this all coming out? You know, what's the end game here? And I feel like maybe one of the reasons they're doing that is, oh, we got rid of the big bad guy, Jeffrey Epstein, right? The worst of the worst, when in reality, maybe there's something a lot worse out there. But they're just kind of making us focus on the Epstein case. And we're like, oh, sweet, Epstein's gone. The island has been, the FBI has raided the island. It's all good. There's nothing, no more crazy sex trafficking schemes, right? And I'm like, that's kind of how I see it. I always look at it from another perspective of, I feel like there's a reason why the mainstream is talking about it now.
No, 100%, man. There's a lot of people went to that island, man. You had royal people who went to that island. You had a lot of the celebrities, the top of the top, presidents, billionaires, went there, had a good time with these young women. I don't know why they chose to have young women or people, because, these are million and billionaires out there, celebrities. You could have had all kind of strippers. If you're going to kick it, go and kick it. You know what I mean? What's the big deal about 14-year-olds and little kids?
I mean, that's that Satanist lifestyle.
Is there some worship stuff going on right now?
I think it has a lot to do with that, because the Bible says the devil is the god of this world, right? Yeah. You want to get blessings from, the devil? Well, you got to do his will, right? Just like if you want to get blessings from the Father, you do his will. But people who do the most vile, disgusting things are blessed the most. It's never a homeless man or like a crackhead on the street just doing these, pedophilia stuff. It's always somebody well known. It's always a rich person, a musician, celebrities. So if you want to get blessed by the devil, do his will. And the most disgusting thing you can do to satisfy the devil, the most evil thing you can do is harm a child. And it even says in the Bible, if you
blood of the innocent,
harm a child to make a little one stumble, it's better for you to tie a chain around your neck and throw yourself into the ocean than deal with God. But yeah.
So while we're on that topic, let's talk about, and I always pronounce his name wrong, I'll mention it, the Satanist, Anton.
Anton
yeah,
Lavey.
Anton,
what's his whole name?
Anton Lavey.
Anton Lavey.
Anton Lavey, because what's interesting, his church, it was featured in songs.
Yeah.
A lot of people, what was the guy that passed away from Nirvana? He actually followed that as well. Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain mentioned he brought it up before.
It was also in one of those movies that just came out, one of those Marvel movies. Like they said that at the end of the movie, you can kind of, this is who this appears to be and all of that. But
I think Black Sabbath mentioned them before too.
Maybe. Yeah. No, Black Sabbath, they mentioned Alistair Crowley, the song Mr. Crowley.
Yeah, and then how you I think it was Hotel California, the song that and then exactly where his church was located, and then they talked about a lot of, in 1969 it was so much weird events happening. I think the assassination of Kennedy happened in 1969, if I'm not mistaken about that.
The 60s, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, how was a lot of cults going on, but you did do a short video on him. So what can you inform the audience about who he is and what he started, or not started, but what he was about?
So Anton Lavey is technically a glorified Satanist. So they don't claim to officially worship a deity known as Lucifer. They're just doing it all for show. And his whole religion is just basically focused on worshiping yourself, which is Satanism at the end of the day, right? Self-worship. But yeah, that's the one thing a lot of people don't know is they don't claim to worship an actual deity, but they claim to be glorified atheists. But I still think behind closed doors, they do a lot of weird, wicked stuff like sacrifices. But in the open, they claim that they're just glorified atheists. And yeah, Anton Lavey has been friends with a lot of famous people. I'm not too sure. I believe Marilyn Monroe was friends with Anton.
Blink 182. Some members of Blink 182.
Barker.
182. There's a lot of celebrities that are friends with Anton and are part of the Church of Satan.
Do you think, how
They're
do I pronounce this?
too.
Do you think Adrenal
Hold on, they're part of the Church of Satan, but they say they don't worship a deity.
It's weird. They call themselves glorified Satan, glorified atheists. Basically, we don't literally worship the devil. We worship ourselves. I'm like, okay.
Now do Satanists follow the book of the
But they still do the satanic rituals.
Yeah.
They just don't want to tell you that, man. We worship, man. Look,
is that correct? Like
we name it Satanists. We got the Baphomet up in here. If you just be foolish enough to believe we just worshiping us, that's on you. You know, we clearly got the statue right here.
At the end of the day, that is Satanism, to worship yourself and to think that you are God.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
Do they follow any type of scripture or anything like that? Like I said, like do they follow?
They got their own Bible.
They wrote their own Bible.
They have a satanic Bible. Yeah.
Okay.
And the satanic Bible is also influenced by Crowley. And the first commandment or the first law is do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, which means do whatever pleases you. Do what thou wilt. Do your own will. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Keep going with them because it was also something in there like you should. Do you know all the commandments that they had in there, or the laws that they had, or a couple more of them?
I just know that one because that one's the most famous one and the first one.
Oh,
Do
okay.
what you will. Get you a little kid and do your way with it.
Do you think that how do I pronounce? Do you think that the whole adrenochrome is real?
I do, and I think that's where a lot of legends of vampires come from. Like the legend of Dracula came from an actual king named Vlad the Impaler in like Romania, I think 13th century. I don't remember when, but basically this dude would like drink the blood of his enemies and children and
put
he
them on
would
a
eat
spit.
flesh. Yeah. And what's really funny is there's a lot of celebrities and royalty today, like the royal family from England, that they're related to Vlad the Impaler. It's really weird. A lot of them are related, like Hillary and Trump. They actually have a great grandparent going down to the 1700s, and they're Danish royalty. So all of them are somehow related to each other. I always think about the fact that they're not fully human. I feel like they got some Nephilim blood in them, because royal blood is different from regular people's blood. They have like what is that?
They say Obama was kin to Bush on his mother's side.
They're all distant cousins and relatives. It's really weird. It makes you wonder, like, politics is even real. I don't believe it's real, but I feel like it's all
they say you're not elected, you're selected.
Exactly. You know how the Egyptians did it, right? They would marry their cousins and their sisters and keep the power right here, and there's nothing new under the sun that is happening again. That's why they're all related. And it's not a conspiracy, it's a fact.
I mean, isn't that where the form of, isn't that where the thought or the makeup of the Constitution or the makeup of government comes from? Egypt.
Yeah, literally.
It's interesting because I feel like we are living in the pharaoh system. When you think about, when you read in the Bible, just about Pharaoh and how the whole Egyptian system worked, and how even Joseph at the time, he wasn't even a king, but he reigned over Egypt, but you still had councilmen and you still had governments and you still had the actual king, which is Pharaoh, that people couldn't even meet with.
Yep.
You can only meet with him maybe once a year and know the 70 language and all the 70 language and even to go up the 70 full steps. So it's just like when you think about how Egypt was ran, that's exactly how the US is ran. Like we have councilmen, governments, we have a president, but we also have somebody who is also backing them up and sponsoring them and telling them like, hey, this is what you do. Because even though Pharaoh was a king going back to Egypt, he didn't really come out and say much. When the famine happened, he was just like, go ask Joseph what to do. You all talk to Joseph. He's handling everything. And if you look at all our signs,
look on the back of our dollar bills,
our signs, our corporations, it's all Egyptian goddesses. You look at the ceramics is right in DC. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right in DC. All
Washington Monument, right? The obelisk.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And you got the slaves too, though. That was there, the Israelite Jews. There was slaves under.
You know what's funny in the Bible concerning Israelites? It says, I think Abraham's the one that said it, that as a curse of the Israelites, they're going to be taken to Egypt once again on ships. Right? And so I do believe America is the real Egypt.
Oh yeah, look at the signs. All the gods they worship is Egyptian goddesses. They got
the chosen people, brother. You know,
look at the cursings of the Israelites. It all matches up, right?
Yeah.
Slaves are going to be spread apart through the world.
Book of Deuteronomy.
I believe America is Egypt, 100%.
But you still can tell that the slaves are blessed though, because everything they touch, man, you know, they make sure they get on top of it. As far as you look in the NBA, you know, they look at the music, you know, some of the best musicians ever.
Yeah, I mean, if you return to Yah, he's gonna bless you. He's gonna. Isn't there a Bible verse where it says, "Come back to me, and I will bless you, and I'll bless your land, and I'll do that." You know. Sometimes
the devil can bless you too. Like if you're not going with if you're not going with them 100%, you know, the devil, you know, hey, you worship me, man, I can get you $1 million. All you got to do is rap about murdering people all day. You know what I mean? Or get butt naked and act like a stripper and talk about sucking. You know what I mean? So he can, you know, and then you the main one I'm really trying to get at too, because we're gonna display you across the world. We're gonna show these great holy people how they supposed to be. He said my people supposed to be a priesthood, a nation of priests and people that's gonna teach the world how you supposed to worship me. But if I get them to worship me, we can show them in a dark light. They living in the ghettos, robbing, stealing, and killing each other all day.
I mean, think about it. Like, even in the rap industry, why do you think they put black people all over, you know, across the rap industry? The owners of these record labels are often white Jews. They put their own people, you know, rapping and talking about killing and sex and
and those are people they're hiring. They want them. Give me them.
And you know what? I was talking to Mojo last night, early this morning. I said, it's interesting to me how I never heard of you getting fully rewarded for doing bad things. Like there was once upon a time where on the radio, you couldn't speak about certain things. Certain things were not promoted. They didn't even want you shaking hips. They got rid of those records.
Elvis, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Elvis, as well as Little Richard. You know what I mean? Like they got rid of all of those records. They didn't want you playing that. But now you can talk about murdering someone, killing somebody's mom, raping a child, raping somebody, putting Molly in somebody's drink, and you get rewarded for that. And I told
I don't know why we're at this point. Is my dad taught me about this one concept. It's called the Orvington window. You ever heard of it?
No,
I've heard some. I think I've heard of it.
Look up the Orvington window. It's a 7-step process of how to take something radical and unacceptable in society and slowly make it normal, and not only normal but popular, right? So back in the day when Elvis was shaking his hips on TV for the first time, everybody was freaking out. They thought it was disgusting. To you and I, it doesn't look that bad, right? He's just dancing, right? To them, they were so like modest and very, God-oriented. And they thought that was weird and inappropriate. You know, like shaking your hips as if like you're having sex or whatever. But then now that's child's play compared to freaking Cardi B's, wet, walk song.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We went from Elvis not being able to be on, like the next day, Elvis was, after that incident happened, the next day, Elvis was filmed from the waist up because they couldn't show his hips shaking. They thought that was too weird. But, rewind, fast forward, and look at where we're at today. Cardi B, stuff like that.
Yeah, if Eminem would have came out in today's generation, he'd be 10 times bigger than what he is today. If he'd have came out right now, if he'd came out in this time, in this decade, talking about cleaning out my closet, popping pills, beating his baby mom,
his mother,
killing his mother, killing this killing this girlfriend, stuff like that, he'd be a hit in today's day and age. And like you said, they protested him, Bone Thugs, and a whole bunch of other music on top of everything that they've done. Like you said, they used to boycott rap. Now it's the hottest thing in the streets. That's what they want. If you're not talking crazy, they don't even want you on the microphone.
That's why they investing into the private prisons, you know, to create that pipeline. You rap about murder, these people gonna get high and listen to this rap, and they're gonna go out here and commit the murder that they're listening to, and which feeds the devil, you know, because that's the sacrifice in itself, because you know, you're going against what God wants you to do.
Yeah, I mean, the devil's the angel of music after all. It's a specialty, right?
Absolutely.
So instead of using that skill that God gave him to worship God, now he uses it for his own needs. And the thing about music is it's the only thing that can affect the brain that in the way that it does. Like nothing else can affect our brain the way music can. Right. Music can make us feel all kinds of emotions, you know, angry, right? Heavy metal gets you into that like mood. Rap, it can make you feel angry too about shooting and killing. Music can make you think about sex all day, right? 24/7, like sex sells. Music can make you happy. It can make you depressed. There's a new genre of music of depressing stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like Juice WRLD, Suicide Boys, and people like bump their heads to this, you know, like music about killing yourself and harming yourself and being depressed. That's cool now. It's like trendy. You know, like that's weird. You know, music is like hypnosis. You ever listen to a song and you just get hypnotized? You know, you're just spaced out. Like when you're at the gym or something on the treadmill, you're just fully immersed into the music. That's one of the reasons during the 60s and 70s, the CIA was handing out acid at concerts, because acid opens up your mind and it makes you open to radical ideas, right? Puts you in a state of trance, hypnosis. Combined with the music, you can send all kinds of messages. That's why the sexual revolution became a thing. The drug revolution, right? People were taking acid and smoking weed and doing all kinds of stuff. So music is hypnosis, and you can send people messages. Like there was a concert with Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And he caused a lot of damage to this one city because he told his crowd to go out there and riot and break crap and just destroy stuff. That's happened a bunch of times with musicians, you know, where they tell the crowd, do this. They sent out a message and the crowd just...
You fight them. You go in there and fight them, and you all go it like...
Yeah, go out there and destroy this, you know, wreck this, burn this. And they do it. They're so hypnotized, and they're like, even the sober people at the concerts, they're like, wow, I'm so in that energy. You know, it's demonic. It's a ritual.
Yeah. Like the Travis Scott concert. He wasn't trying to hide it.
No, you saw that video of the dude was getting lifted up, and then Travis was just humming on his microphone, looking at him like he's sucking his soul out or something. I'm like, what the heck? Creepy.
It was a lot of...
His apology was the funniest thing ever. He's like, you know, my condolences to all the people. And you seen his apology video?
Yeah, that was so fake. Like, dude,
the first apology
and going
video.
to make it in black and white. He put it in black and white, like that was going to change the way somebody view you. You know what I mean? But I wanted to also ask you, do you remember hearing about like how back in the day, like in the 70s, the late 60s, how they would have double meanings of songs on the part B of the record? So, for example,
backwards.
Yeah.
Bone Thugs and
Black Sabbath, Stairway to Heaven. You played that backwards. You were able to hear
clear sentences.
Yeah. Yes. So
that's weird, huh?
I mean, speaking of Alistair Crowley, he says one of the ways to like do spells and stuff like that is he did something called backwards writing and backwards, what's the word? Basically, when you do things backwards, a spell can work better and you can put messages in there. So a lot of people are saying that the whole it's called backmasking, where you, you know, reverse the song and you can hear messages in there. That this is all from demonic forces. And
let the people know who he was, because he was a pretty interesting character within itself.
Alistair Crowley? Oh man, there's so much to talk about. I actually made a full video about him and his life and who he was on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out. But yeah, Alistair Crowley was a very famous occultist, and this dude was so wicked. He actually got kicked out of some cults. Like, imagine being so wicked you're kicked out of cults. That's crazy. That means he was a bad dude. There's a lot of rumors of him. Well, I don't even think they're rumors, like molesting kids, raping, killing. He was just known as the most wickedest man in the world. Even his own mom called him the Beast 666. Like, he was just a bad kid, even growing up. And he got really into the occult. And what's really interesting is he went to visit Egypt one time, and he claimed that the Egyptian god Horus, I think it was Horus, told him to write a book on like the commandments of the gods or whatever he believed in. And he wrote a book, and that's where he got the whole phrase "do what thou wilt." It's from Horus, the messenger god, basically. And where's I going with this? But yeah, basically, Alistair Crowley was an occultist, and he wrote a lot of books. What's really interesting, Alistair Crowley, in his book, he actually drew a depiction of a demon that manifested himself to Crowley in the physical form. And you can look up the entity, look up the demon lamb, Alistair Crowley. It looks like a gray alien, like it looks straight up, looks like an alien.
Wow.
And he drew this, and he said, "This entity appeared to me, this demon named the Lamb." So it makes you wonder who aliens actually are too. Speaking of that.
So I'm assuming that you heard of who Albert Pike was, right?
Yeah, Albert Pike.
Now,
Is it the guy that's Behold a Pale Horse?
The one who predicted the wars and all of that.
Oh, okay, all right, that's good.
Then Albert Pike, he wrote the Morals and Dogma, right? The book, that one book. Freemason, right? That's the guy.
I don't think it was Dogma. Was it Dogma? Hold on.
I'm not for sure. He was the one that predicted the 3 wars, and he predicted the three wars, and 2 of them happened already. And one hasn't.
World Wars.
The World Wars, and one of them haven't happened already, but it looks like we may be on the brink of that.
It is him. He did write Morals and Dogma. This book's pretty
okay.
Yeah.
But did you? So he said, did you hear the wars that he predicted?
Yeah, I did. He predicted World War I, II, and then he said there's a 3rd war was going to happen.
Yeah, and said that it was supposed to be the most bloodiest turmoil, where Lucifer will be revealed, where citizens were
Savior,
where there will be all types of it'll be the most bloodiest war and turmoil we've ever had. And,
basically the Great Tribulation type of deal.
Yeah, it could have been, but it's interesting. He wrote that letter way before the wars even happened. Way before.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say what's really interesting is how he wrote about the letters of the World War III happening. A lot of religions out there. I think every religion, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, they all believe that before a savior figure is going to return, there's going to be a lot of chaos, wars, disease, famine, and then there's going to be a savior character that returns. And that's another thing about predictive programming. We all have a natural need for a savior, right? We all just need somebody to save us. That's how we are as humans. And I feel like the devil takes advantage of that because, the only real savior is Yahshua, right? Jesus Christ. But a lot of these movies like Superman, Marvel, why do you think Marvel movies have become so popular, right? The Eternals, that's straight up Nephilim right there. They're all preparing us for this savior figure to finally appear, right? But it's going to be the Antichrist, or as the Bible puts it. So a lot of these cultures, they're all waiting for a savior, right? The Jews, the Christians. I'm sorry, what?
They said they're going to get one, that Antichrist.
They're going to get one, but it's going to be a false one.
Which is, so have you heard of Operation Bluebeam?
Yeah, I have.
That was kind of crazy to me, because when they were talking about, and this is a long time ago, how they want to create a big hologram in the sky of a coming of
Jesus, yeah.
Of Jesus, but it's really going to be people's whoever the people, whatever language you speak, wherever you are in the world, however you perceive it, is going to be your God. And you're really going to think it's Jesus coming back, but it's not going to be Jesus coming back, and that is going to help. But it just reminded me of Alexander Pike and the Eternals. I watched the Eternals, and that was so creepy to me, because when I looked up who their God was, when I looked up the meaning of who some of those Eternals was, like Sprite, and who the God of Sprite was, and I thought about the Sprite soda, how it says, "Obey your thirst," and how it's a clear. And it's just weird how they put everything.
Yeah, no, the Eternals is glorifying fallen angels, basically. It makes us look at them like, oh, wow, they're so cool. These fallen angels are the Nephilim, right? The half blood, half angel, half human. But it's kind of glorifying it. I think maybe it's preparing us for something like that to happen eventually. And that's the one danger in the church today. You know, every church always preaches, oh, you know, Jesus is coming. You know, get ready for the return, get ready for the return. But they don't talk about the first thing that happens. You know, like you're right. Like prepare people for the first thing, right? The deception. Because everybody right now, most people in church are waiting for a savior to appear. But I'm like, you need to know what happens before. That's very critical. Because if you don't know,
right,
you're going to fall for this false savior character, right, this false Jesus character that's going to appear. Even I think Jesus himself said, you know, if somebody points to the skies and says, oh, there he is, don't listen to them.
If it's in the cave, oh, he's here in the cave. Do not go not, because it's
I was like, oh, he's in the clouds, and he's like, yeah, no, don't listen to him.
Yeah, because he might do what do you say? Might do great wonders, and if
miracles and all that, and he's gonna have this power, and people are gonna be like deceived. They're gonna be like, oh wow,
he can deceive the very elect. If possible, it could deceive the very elect.
The fact that it says if possible, that's pretty serious, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
because they're gonna have some great wonders for you.
I mean, clearly it's possible. Like
he already got great wonders. There's great wonders here already.
Supposed to like he's supposed to get a.
Tell me I can take a chip. I can be fully healed.
A great wound and then get healed.
Yeah,
and that'd be that.
Well, that's some Avatar stuff right there.
That's what you know. Yeah.
The same thing what you're talking about though. They've already had it. They've been had that. You know, he's already been had this. Like in the book, you know, with the Egyptians, when Moses showed up, said, "Let my people go." You know, I'm gonna pull out this stick, drop it on the ground. It's gonna turn into a snake. The Pharaoh said, "Let me go get some of my best magicians or scientists, whatever you want to call it. Let me go get them." They did the same thing. How did they do it? Yeah. They had the technology. They had the power to do it. Moses was graced by the will of God to do that. Where did the Egyptians get that kind of power from?
From the devil. I mean,
in the end, Moses' stick swallowed up everybody else's stick.
Yeah, and I know that.
They got scared.
No,
you know
I know that. I'm just saying,
basically, the
fact that they had the technology to do it. Like I said, I tell Myra all the time, I believe that's the biggest secret with the secret society. I mean, secret societies. I think it's the technology.
No,
the
they had technology. Even Joseph said,
absolutely,
what they consider to be God, which
that's what I'm saying. The knowledge, they have the knowledge, and they've had, they pretty much know what's happening. They know what's going to go on. They know what's going to happen. Yeah. And like you said, there's a plan set out to break us into it gracefully. So we can't just catch it all at one time.
That's why he's there laying the foundation with the, you know, with the V.
Yeah.
And with the Bitcoin and all that. So they can control the currency. You won't be able to buy and sell. It's not going to just pop up and then, okay, you won't be able to buy and sell. No, we got to be able to control this and know for a fact you won't be able to buy. Know for a fact, for certainty that you won't be able to sell.
I think you want to say something.
No, you know what's very interesting is that speaking of, you know, devil and power and how he does have power and he does give people power, like that miracle of turning the sticks into snakes, right? What I learned is, you know, like fortune tellers and psychics, sometimes they can predict the future. But what I learned is, as a psychic or a fortune teller, if you dabble in the occult, you have access to demonic like powers,
like
right?
Bill.
So when somebody is predicting your future, in reality, they're causing it because they have demonic powers and they're causing entities to, let's say they predict that you're going to get in a car accident, right? They have demonic power entities causing that wreck, especially if you're a person who believes in fortune tellers. You just open a doorway to demons in your life. So when a fortune teller is predicting stuff about you, they're legit entities that are causing this to happen. Just like magicians, back in the old days, right, in the early 1900s, late 1800s, look up old school magician posters. I made a video on this before. You always see these little cartoony demons, right, whispering into the ear of the magician on the poster, or helping him lift a woman as she's levitating, right? Yeah. And you can look up all those posters. All of them have these weird little cartoon demons on them. And that just goes back to the whole how they're able to have powers. Like, for example, the fortune tellers, they're not literally predicting anything. They're causing the future to happen through demonic forces. And if you're a person who believes in psychics and fortune tellers, you just opened up a doorway and boom, you know, entities are going to come your way. But if you're a person like me who doesn't believe in it, they're not predicting anything about me because my doorways are closed. I'm like, no, I don't believe in any of this, right? Because faith is a powerful thing. What does it say in the Bible about faith? Faith as small as a mustard seed can move a mountain, right?
Yeah.
But if you got faith in the occult, right, fortune tellers and psychics, well, yeah, the future is going to happen for you because you just opened up doorways. Like, there we go.
I mean, they're abominations, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. They got powers too, but it's demonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have faith in them, you're set, you know?
Yeah.
But if you got some faith in them, then you're in danger, and you're in danger of opening doors.
Yeah, at one point they called science magic. That's why I was saying scientists or magicians. They used to call scientists magicians back in the day. They used to think
Witch doctors too, yeah. Witches, doctors. I mean, the word for sorcery in Greek in the Bible is pharmakia. It's where we get the word like pharmacy from. You know, if you look up the definition of sorcery, it's, you know, drugs, medicines, and the use of drugs and medicines to deceive, basically.
Yeah.
So like acid, DMT would be considered sorcery. And it's true, when people take the stuff, what do they see? They see entities sometimes, right? Like the DMT, they see these weird clown, jester, demonic entities. And same thing goes for people with schizophrenia, you know, people who hear heck of voices. It reminds me of the story of Legion, you know, when Jesus casted out demons from a man who was possessed by like thousands of demons, right? I think that's what schizophrenia is, because a lot of people who are schizophrenics have developed schizophrenia from drug abuse and AKA sorcery. So if only people knew the spiritual aspects of drugs and stuff like that, they'll solve their problems a lot faster. And yeah, that's another point, is like they took the spirituality out of everything, right? They think everything is a physical problem.
Right.
Schizophrenia, that's just a chemical imbalance in the brain. That's a physical problem. You being bipolar, your emotion switching, that's a physical problem. You know, you need medicine here to tranquilize you. But in reality, they're all spiritual problems. They're entities, they're demonic. But of course, they're not going to say that in the institutions today, because even you look at the medical industry, like hospital symbol, it's pagan too. The wings and the staff and the snakes.
Yeah. You see the snake, it meets up at the top.
Yeah, like it's like.
And then you look at the Baphomet, the Baphomet.
Yeah,
the actual what is it?
You got a rod coming out, and it's a snake wrapping around. I've seen it.
That's the health logo.
That's crazy, because hospitals aren't meant to cure anybody. I mean, a patient cured is a customer lost. So
so they're gonna just keep hitting you with pills and stuff. They ain't gonna fix the problem.
Or it's a negative place, you know. That's why like holistic medicine has been demonized so much, right?
Yeah.
They don't want us to cure ourselves. They want us to take these what are they called? Just artificial pharmakia medicine.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's the guy in Haiti, the Haiti president, president? He denied the B, and somehow, you know, he ended up
they were using something over there. He had they asked him how no one in Haiti had caught COVID yet.
Yeah.
And you guys are refusing the vaccine. And he told them that they have this tea or this tonic that they drink over there, and it's been saving them and holding off COVID. And obviously, subsequently, he died. He died a few months later.
He said, "Oh, really?"
Yeah,
if you look it up,
the thing is weird.
He said the name of it in the interview.
We went over the dates that he died.
Yeah,
like if you look up,
it was crazy.
The dates that he died, and you know, it adds up to, I don't know if you're into numbers and symbols and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard of that stuff.
You know what I mean? And it was just all weird.
He said, "Oh, really?"
It's a lot of symbolism behind his death, more than just the COVID vaccine and whatever he was conjuring up, or whatever that tonic is over there that they was using. It's much more than any of it.
Oh yeah, Haiti messes with all kinds of voodoo stuff. That's why the country's always cursed, man. It's crazy. Earthquakes, floods. You know, their country's always in ruins. And it's because they mess with a lot of that voodoo. There's so much wickedness going on around there.
Yeah, they have.
But the next day they was talking about, we got thousands of shipments of the V coming over.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, after that video came out of him doing that interview with the news station, telling them that they're drinking this tonic or whatnot, he subsequently dies, and then a few weeks or
murdered.
Murdered. Okay, he was murdered. Absolutely. Team of hitmen, and then after that, they come out and there's a shipment coming in for vaccinations, because obviously after the president dies over there, you know how their economy works and how their let's say their politics is basically when one of their elected officials pass away and they have no elections coming up, we step in and plant pretty much a sit-in, you know, or a designated official until they have their own election.
Or
So
you just
that
talk to
designated
him, you know,
official
hey,
that
your
came
boy
in-
wasn't willing to take it, or you
Yeah.
willing to take it. You seen what happened to him. Hey, don't think
Well,
it
you're-
won't happen to you.
As you said,
Or
you're
you would-
selected, not elected. So this wasn't an
We need
elected
some of that
official.
money
They
up out your
selected this
country.
person to go over there, tell them, hey, bring those vaccines in. Like you said, we're going to work on a couple other things.
We need some of that paper.
On the thing that on the subject that we're talking about. So a lot of this equals up to what I wanted to ask you about this particle accelerator. So before I even get into that, a lot of the stuff that I've known growing up is science versus religion. I feel like they've gotten to a point where science can no longer account for certain things, so they're relying on religious doctrine to try to make their points in science.
Yeah.
Thus the Cern machine and this God particle and all of that. You know, I believe the God particle, or antimatter as they call it, you know, the God particle is the veil, obviously. And what's behind the veil is this antimatter that they call, obviously. Have you done anything on antimatter?
Yeah, I have. I know what that is. It's okay. Their idea for CERN is basically the reason they're activating their machine is to see how the Big Bang was formed. But I believe, you know, it's BS. There's no way. But I think the real reason is they're trying to access dimensions. And the Bible does talk about dimensions. It says that there is spiritual wickedness in high places. These high places are dimensions, right? And God put a veil over these dimensions, so that way we can't see it, to protect us. But these scientists are into the occult, and it's very dangerous when science and the occult combine, and they're trying to access this veil. So regardless if CERN can actually open up dimensions, what's weird is their scientists admitted, they're like, no, we're looking for other worlds. We're looking for parallel universes. We're looking for dimensions. We're looking for this kind of stuff. And it kind of reminds me of Revelations, where it talks about the bottomless pit opening up, right? Yep. Another nickname for wormholes by scientists is bottomless pit.
Yep.
It's just a portal, a dark portal that has no end.
Didn't they say when they turned it on, above it was like clouds and
there's like a strong thunderstorm over the CERN facility in the middle. Really weird. There's like a picture of it I've seen a while ago.
Yeah,
there's a lot of weird.
Trying to open the portal up, man. And that's how they came. That's how the bottomless pit opened up, because they.
Like, for example, have you seen their statue that they have at CERN? Pretty weird.
Yeah.
The Hindu statue.
What's the goddess name? I forgot.
Shiva.
Yeah. The destroyer of worlds, right? And the bridge between worlds, I think, is what she's called.
You seen the United Nations statue? You seen the United Nations statue, the beast?
Yeah. And another thing that was kind of weird is, like, the name CERN is actually a shortened name for Cernunnos. Look up who Cernunnos is. It's the Celtic god of the underworld. So there's another coincidence. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Cernunnos, like, look it up. CERN, it's a short version of that god. So all of these coincidences with God of the underworld, even some of their experiments are named like Alice and Atlas, right? Alice is like a nickname for the devil. I don't know why exactly, but I'm not sure. But Alice is a nickname for the devil. And then Atlas is another name for, the god that holds up the worlds or holds up the bridges between worlds. You know who Atlas is, that whole depiction of him holding up the world. But yeah, it's just really weird that there are all these coincidences, right? And then to make things even more weirder, CERN is basically like a tunnel right underground, 17-mile radius, and it's on the border of Switzerland and France. And a portion of it is on top of an old Roman temple, of an ancient Roman temple that used to be there. And in this place, they used to worship the god Apollo. Yep. And people back in the day believed that that there was a portal to the underworld to Apollo in this area where part of CERN is located, part of that machine. And what's really weird, in the Bible, in Revelations, it says a bottomless pit is going to open up, and then out of that bottomless pit, Apollyon is going to appear. Apollyon is another name for Apollo, so which can also be another name for the devil, right? Apollo, the god of the sun,
Yeah.
Apollo 13.
Yeah. I was telling them about the worm or the little clouds that appeared over the facility when they turned the machine on. I was telling them it's two things that I looked at. One was Manifest, the TV show Manifest. A lot about that television show. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but in their last season, there's a situation going on where they're pretty much talking about the CERN machine. Pretty much, they're pretty much talking about it. And when they turned this machine on, try to do experiments, that's exactly what happened. It created three things. It created a wormhole, basically. It created a thunderstorm of some sort of black matter, of black, dark matter. And then it also created earthquakes that were undetectable because they were so far beneath the surface that, it wasn't on the radar. They were moving tectonic plates.
Even in the movie Don't Look Up that just came out on Netflix, they even mentioned Cern technology. And I called it because it was real quick when they were talking about how they could stop this meteorite from hitting the Earth. And then the lady came in saying, we can use Cern technology that's going to do this. And she went over really briefly, and I rewound. I'm like, wait a second. They're talking about the Cern technology, and it was just bizarre.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen Stranger Things, the show?
Sir. Yes, sir. The television show.
A great show. There's the scene in the third season, right, where the Russians are, they have a machine and it's opening up a portal to the upside down, right, the demonic world. So again, it goes back to predictive programming. It's getting us used to that idea of something weird happening, which I don't know how you can get used to a portal opening up. But
another thing with the predictive programming, angels and demons. I never paid attention to the fact that the Vatican was using the CERN machine to collect antimatter in the movie, and a lot of priests, preachers seem to think that that's going on right now.
Yeah, really weird.
Yeah,
and that antimatter is actually just demonic. It's like a demonic force or energy or demons themselves. They say that antimatter is actually demonic, or it's the demon itself, or the spirit is what I'm trying to say. The spirit trapped in like these vials or whatever that they have. But apparently, antimatter can only be trapped for like a millisecond or something. You can't really hold out, according to them, but I think maybe they can. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to extract this antimatter and make it appear in our world, right, on the other side of the veil. Because like there's demonic energy all around us, but we can't see it. Right? We can't hear them, we can't see them, but there's weird energies around us. I mean, there's sounds we can't hear, there's colors we can't see, millions of colors, right? We only see 3 colors, blue, green, and red, and then all the other colors are just a mix. But there are millions of colors, so there's a whole other world outside of what we can see. And I think what they're trying to do is make this other world visible to us, which is weird. Like, I don't know why they're trying to do that, but
I mean, it comes from curiosity. They, like I said, science versus religion.
They're trying to fulfill the devil's plan.
Yeah. People always say how the world come about. If God built the world, explain the Big Bang Theory. Well, we can explain the Big Bang Theory now. Still doesn't explain everything. In fact, it only explains what we just talked about, the dark antimatter. No one can explain why don't we have access to it. You can see the universe. You can see all the darkness in the universe, but you can't touch it. And it's there. It's not like it's an air situation. It's there. We just can't touch it.
I think they're using the Big Bang Theory as an excuse to decoy what they're really trying to do. They're not trying to figure out a Big Bang
It's just a theory.
No.
It's already here. The moon, sun is here. The galaxy's worm. They just using that as a decoy to really fulfill what they're really trying to do. I'm
starting to see why God didn't want Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of good and evil or knowledge. Right?
Yeah.
Right, 100%.
Think about it. We only live on this earth for 100 years. Why do we need the knowledge to build a particle accelerator or portals or weapons and bombs? I'm starting to understand why God said you don't need to know all this. Trust me.
We want to know the knowledge so bad. We spend billions and billions of dollars on this stuff just to figure out an answer. Just to figure out.
I mean, some things are better left unsaid, as they say. Some things is just not meant for us to know.
Hey man, give us a future, man. Give us real quick. Give us a year and to give us 3 years, man. What's going on?
I mean, I'm not no fortune teller.
I know, but just all the knowledge you've acquired from everything you've looked at so far. What are they trying to do? What are they?
My prediction is, I think in the next 10 years, we're about to see some weird supernatural stuff that we probably never seen before. It's gonna get weird because it already, like, life is already as weird as it gets right now, but it's only going to be worse, right? Even in the Bible, it says it's going to get a lot worse and worse and worse, and wickedness is going to increase, and eventually we're going to see some demonic forces in real time. But that's just a prediction. I don't know. Again, my wishful thinking is I hope none of that happens, but that's wishful thinking. If I'm being realistic, things are going to get bad. Yeah.
Before we get out of here, do you think the Bermuda Triangle, like that whole conspiracy theory, is real?
Some people claim that the Bermuda Triangle is not that special because there are just as much ships and planes that disappear anywhere else from what people are claiming. But for some reason, they focus so much on the Bermuda Triangle. You know what my actual belief is on the Bermuda Triangle? So NASA's facility is pretty close, is in Florida, right? Their whole facility. And I believe when their rockets go up into space, it's curving and going into the Bermuda Triangle, and boom, it's gone. And that's why we have all these like myths and legends about the Bermuda Triangle to get us away from there, you know? But my idea is, because the reason we see the rockets curving is it's going straight into the Bermuda Triangle, and it's, you know, to get rid of the evidence. And that's why they tell people don't go to the Bermuda Triangle. There's some bad, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
basically, like, it's their practice space. Their work.
Yes, it's their decoy. They're sinking these ships. They're making us believe that it's going to space, but it's just going to the ocean.
So that's their oceans. That's their ocean area 51, basically.
The decoy. It's basically they're trying to make us think they're going to space. They're going nowhere. Sorry.
So you don't believe they went to Mars enough?
No, no way.
Hey, they were saying, I think on Google Maps is someplace like, I want to say like close to the Arctic, that, you know, that looks exactly like those Mars pictures.
Have you guys seen a P900? You know what a P900 camera is?
I have.
It's one of the most strongest cameras you can buy on the internet, and it has the most powerful zoom in technology. Now, when you zoom into the moon and Venus and other planets, they shine and shimmer like as if it's in water. They're not even solid. They're lights, like the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say anything about planets. It says that God made the sun, the moon, and the stars. So planets, biblically speaking, are known as wandering stars. So if you look up P900 cameras, it looks like it's shining and shimmering. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Scott Manley did a experiment with one of those cameras when he was trying to see how far up or how high up in the air do you have to be to see the Earth's curvature.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to prove the flat Earth theory or whatever. Have you ever heard of the Truman Show?
100%.
So what do you think about the whole us being in the simulation, obviously with the Mandela effect and everything? What do you really think there is that we are in simulation? So that when people take this DMT, they actually return to the actual reality and we're just stuck in the simulation?
Yeah, so my view on DMT, biblically speaking, is it's sorcery. So it leads you to demons. And my view on the Matrix, I think it's real, but not in the way we think. I believe everything around us is fraudulent, right? What the world looks like, the news, the science, the history, even everything is fake. It's like the Truman Show. Everything's a TV show, right? The devil scripts things to kind of lie to us about real history, about real science, about what the world actually looks like, about God. So in terms of Matrix, do I think we're literally in a, we're laying down somewhere and we got wires attached to us in a computer simulation? No, but metaphorically speaking, I do think we're in a Matrix, and I do think almost everything is fake. I think the news is fake, all of it. Fox News, I don't care, conservative, liberal, I don't care what you are, but that's fake. I think history is fake. A lot of history is fraudulent. There's a lot of stuff that's been hidden. A lot of scientists are fraudulent. The theory of the Big Bang, right? Big Bang theory.
Right.
The theory of gravity, still called a theory because it's not observable, not testable, not provable. Right?
Thank you.
And so, yeah, a lot of things are just fraudulent. The theory of evolution. They're making us believe all these
theories,
fantasies and theories and telling us it's fact. And then when you try to present arguments against it to somebody who believes it's fact, right, they start getting all defensive, because what people don't realize is that it's a religion and people defend it like a religion, right? These so-called scientists and people who claim that Big Bang is real, evolution is real. It's not.
But they can get paid off like they have in the past, so you can't really trust what they say, because you don't know what kind of, what type of person they are, because they might like a couple dollars, and they'll say whatever. That, like, they came out and said cigarettes is not harmful, man. The scientists said that.
They had
money talks.
Yeah, so they can tell you, hey, the Big Bang is real. Let me show you how the stars, because his bank is going up millions of dollars. So I'll tell you whatever in the stars. Ain't like you gonna go there and see it. I'll tell you.
It's kind of genius, because when it comes to things like the Big Bang theory, the theory of gravity, the fact that we live on a spinning tennis ball, going into darkness, going nowhere. All of this is to get us to go against our natural senses that the Father gave us, or how we view the world, how we see things for what they are. But these people are telling us, no, your senses are wrong. trust our version of reality. Here is how things actually are. Here's the history. Here's the theory of gravity. Here is Big Bang. This is facts. But in reality, none of it's observable. None of it's testable. So it gets us to go against our natural senses, which makes us more easier to be deceived and controlled. If you go against your senses, you're easy to be controlled.
Right.
Yeah. Have you ever heard
the right now? I think it might shut off soon.
Oh yeah. Have you ever heard of the double slit experiment?
Yeah, I talked about it in my
So can you explain it? Because I tried to explain it to Myra. Can you explain the double slit experiment?
Yeah, I think you guys.
We're still here. We got you.
We're still talking to you. Go ahead.
Cool. So double slit experiment. Oh man, I made a video on this too. It's called the observer effect. Actually, my recent one too, retro causality. I kind of mentioned it, but basically, it's that a cause causes an effect, or an effect. All right, let me explain retro causality real quick. So retro causality is the idea that the future can influence the past, right? And the double slit experiment, it changes. How do I explain it? I suck at explaining.
Is this the one when it's observed, it changed, the particles changed when it's observed?
So cut a box on two separate ends.
It's electrons, right? Yeah, it's light beam sent through two slits, right?
Yeah.
And if you observe it, it reacts as a wave, I think, or it might be the opposite.
They connect if you observe, but if you're not looking at it, they separate.
Yeah, and if you don't observe it, it turns into just electrons, like particles. Yeah. So the idea is that reality only exists if you observe it. And the whole idea with retro causality is that it also has to do with retro causality, where the future affects the past. Like our idea of time could be completely wrong. Time is not linear, but maybe it's a loop, right? Like, let me give you guys an example. Have you guys ever thought about somebody random that you never talked to in a while, right? Or you haven't talked to in a while, and then out of nowhere, moments later, you see them at Walmart in aisle 3, and you're like, I was just thinking about you, right? You ever had a moment like that?
Deja vu type of situations.
Kind of, yeah, but it's like you just they popped into your mind out of nowhere, and then you see them moments later. That's where retro causality comes in, and it explains that the reason you thought about this person is because the future influenced the past.
Yeah,
that's why. So time is completely different. And I had an experience like that too. I mean, I have a lot of them. I just started paying attention to them, and you don't realize how many experiences you have until you actually start paying attention to these weird coincidences. Like this one time, my mom asked me to go to Trader Joe's and pick up some white wine, right? So I step out of the car and I'm walking towards the store, and then randomly I get thoughts of the Mandela effect. I'm just thinking about it, like it's so weird that a large group of people believe the same false memory, right? So as I walk into the store to the wine section, the first wine bottle I see is called Mandela wine. And I've never seen that wine in my life before. And what's really funny is Mandela wine is also named after Nelson Mandela. So I thought that was weird that I thought about the Mandela effect, and boom, it appeared, and I've never seen this wine brand before. And I enjoy wine, so it's kind of weird for me to see that for the first time. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. But there's a lot of moments like that, right? Where you think of somebody random, and then they appear out of nowhere.
It's almost like somebody is coming into your realm, and you get that connection, that electrical magnetic wave with them, and then it's like,
right? Like there's something, like time is very strange, that it's not even linear. Even in the Bible, time is not linear. Like God sees everything just laid out, happening at once. So the idea is, what if everything's happening at once? And that's why we get these random coincidences and thoughts about people and events, and then it just happens. Like there's a book that predicted the sinking of the Titanic. I think it's called Futility, the Titan, something like that. Dude predicted the Titanic sinking 12 years before it happened. Like exactly, like the Titan, the ship is called Titan in the book, and it hits an iceberg and it sinks in the Atlantic Ocean, just like the real thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that all goes back to the idea that time is not linear, that the future is affecting the past somehow, and it's really weird and bizarre, but yeah.
I see what you're saying. So kind of like how it's like,
it's confusing. It's very confusing.
Going in the rotation.
Everything's happening at once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what you're gonna do tomorrow, what you're gonna eat, that already happened or is happening right now, and then you get to that point. Like everything is happening at once. That's why the prophets were able to write, prophecy, because God sees everything just laid out here, all happening.